Ooh. Yeah. I'm from the Terror Dome, yeah, that's New Orleans, home of methadone. Cops on microphones, there's so much bad luck, ain't no leprechaun. Yeah. Cut that down so we can get to business, man. That's my nigga Tunchi Lee. Lil Wayne, top 5 rapper ever. Debate these nuts. Listen, man, if you were looking at this face and listening to this voice, you are officially back on the hot seat. I'm your esteemed host, Smoke Man, and y'all know what we do here. We set people ass on fire. This week, we bringing the Cowboys back to the hot seat, man. So sit down, tune in. I'm not gonna keep y'all that long, but when I did the Dallas Cowboy preview, I said that I was gonna let the first quarter of the season go by. We revisit some things, look at some things, look forward to the next quarter. So, without any further ado, paying homage to the ghost over my left and my right shoulder. Let's get into it, man. First quarter review. Dallas 3-1. Can't complain about that. They handled the first three opponents like they should. New York, Washington, and the Miami Dolphins. And they look decent doing so. They look pretty good doing so. And I think a hallmark of well, not a good team, a great team. The hallmark of a great team is to handle. I'm talking about really handle the lesser teams, the teams of lesser talent, bad coaching, things like that. And that's what Dallas did. And notice I cut myself off from saying good and replaced it with great. The reason being is because if you remember in the Dallas Cowboy preview, I set the tone. Like, there are no excuses this season. This should be a great football team. So if you're going to be a great football team, one thing great football teams do is they handle the lesser teams, which again I think they've done. I said that I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas came out of those first 4 games 2-2, and the reason I pointed to was you're looking at the emergence of Kellen Moore as a play caller. Things got off sparkling, right? Things got off great. He mixed things up. They were unpredictable for the most part. The execution was flawless. He looked really good. And then they took their ass to New Orleans and got their ass whooped. And I don't mean about the score. The score was close. I think it was 12-10. But they got beat up physically. Before I get into that, before they even got to New Orleans, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? This team is feeling good. They're looking good. And again, you base what you've seen off lesser talent, lesser opponent. And I'm more focused on what I see, the tape I'm watching, the film I'm watching, just seeing what Kellen Moore does, what his tendencies are, and how does he get the most out of the talent that he has on the field. So with him trying out some new things again, I thought that they could have been 2-2, but here we are 3-1. And like I told you all before in the preview show, the reason why I break things down in quarters, 16-game season, there are 4 quarters, 4 games per quarter. As you look at a team every week, you see what they're doing well, what they haven't done well, the areas of opportunity, things of that nature. Well, the reason why I feel it's important to do it by quarters is because you have knee-jerk reactions to a game, whether it be a good game or a bad game. I tend to stray away from that because there is always a tomorrow. So when you piece together quarter by quarter by quarter, you're really able to see some real progression. You're able to see some real type of traction. You're able to see if things have plateaued for a team. You're able to see if they're going in the wrong direction because you want a good sample size to do these things. So diving into what we saw Sunday night against the New Orleans Saints, credit to the Saints, man. Drew Brees has gone down. That team hasn't missed a beat. Sean Payton is who we thought he is, and he's got this team prepared. Not going to spend too much time talking about them. So here's my problem with what I saw Sunday. There were 4 plays to me that changed the tide of the game for the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, the Zeke fumble. Of course, the Jason Witten fumble. You're looking at the rollout that Dak Prescott had going to his left when he missed Cobb in the back of the end zone, and also that drop Cobb had later on in the game to convert a third down. Now, looking at it first glance, you think that, oh, okay, Dak threw it behind him. No, 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 no. That's not what the fuck happened. Dak saved him. Had Dak led him, he'd have got his fucking head knocked off. He'd still be asleep. Dak actually saved him from probably being concussed right now, or maybe not be able to feel his limbs, because he'd got destroyed. So Dak did him a favor, and you know how the old adage, you get your hands on it, you got to catch it. That was a catchable football. So those are the four plays that I looked at that really changed the tide of the game. But let me say this, and let me take my glasses off so y'all know I'm serious. Before the game, it was reported by a Bleacher Report that the Cowboys and Dak Prescott are still light years apart from a contract. It's reported that Dak is looking in excess of $40 million a year. Let me tell you something. If you are a quarterback and you are demanding, you're asking for, you feel you are worth $40 million a year, you have to beat the teams with their backup quarterback and the teams that don't score touchdowns. Let me say this again. If you're a quarterback and you're asking for $40 million a year, you have to beat those teams who don't have their starting quarterback and those teams who don't score touchdowns in those football games. I don't think that's too much to ask. I'm not blaming Dak Prescott for this loss, so don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Don't act like because I've been critical of Dak Prescott before, and I'll get to that later. But I'm not saying Buddy lost the game. He should have won it. When you are a $40 million a year quarterback, that's what the fuck you do. You go out and win football games. You put the team on your back, and you say, hey, let's go. I got you. The defense did their part. They held that team 12 points, no touchdowns, got off the field on third down for the most part. They did their part. If you were trying to tell me that you couldn't make one play, Mr. $40 million a year quarterback, something wrong here. Something's really fucking wrong. And don't get me wrong, Kelly Moore didn't help him, right? So I don't know what the hell happened to the play action. I don't know what happened to the RPO. You didn't really see Dak use his legs. He wasn't creative at all. The offense was bland. It was actually predictable to a certain degree. You kept running up the gut when there was nothing there. You saw how aggressive New Orleans was in their defensive fronts. You didn't use any screen passes to soften this shit up. As far as I know, New Orleans Saints are a cover 3 team. I saw them run a lot of cover 2. So Dak and Kellen, they really didn't attack over the top. They really didn't have anything downfield. You know what I'm saying? You saw some cover 1. You saw some 0 in there, mixed in there. But for the most part, they ran cover 2. And they were really aggressive up front. You saw Marshawn Lattimore. He had Amari Cooper in witness protection. So there were some things working against Dak, but there are no excuses, at least not in this game, because this was a winnable game. This team doesn't have Drew Brees, probably top 5 quarterback all time, one of the most prolific offenses in NFL history, one of the best coaches in NFL history, Sean Payton. He's without his star, and you go in there with a better football team and you lose. Well, again, I'm not blaming Dak Prescott for this, all right? I'm just saying that when I think of $40 million a year quarterback, I think of a Tom Brady. I think of a Patrick Mahomes. I think of a Drew Brees. I think of an Aaron Rodgers. You see what I'm saying? Those guys, I mean, you see them do it Sunday in, Sunday out, week in, week out. So, again, if you were going to try to do these things as it relates to get this much guaranteed, get this much per year, these are the goddamn games you have to win. This is big boy football. You're going to have to show up in these moments. You're going to have to shine in these moments. This is your opportunity to show the entire world on primetime television that I am who y'all think I am. And here you are, 3-1. Like I said, I'm not going to keep you long, so moving forward, just looking at just this quarter of the season, Dallas has the top 5 offense. I think it's number 3. Got a top 10 defense. I think it's number 7. I think they're holding teams to less than 15, 16 points a game. And my initial worry with that team was defensively, was just from the tapes and the videos I'm watching, or they don't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Robert Quinn came back at just the right time. because he was tearing ass screaming around that corner when I saw him play in New Orleans, man. So, defense, I don't have an issue with them. I don't necessarily have an issue with the offense because these are correctable things. These are fixable things. Again, I said Kellen Moore has to get acclimated to his role as an offense coordinator. One of the key things an offense coordinator has to do is he has to adjust. He has to make in-game adjustments. He'll learn from this. So again, what you saw Dallas do, what you saw them struggling with, these are all correctable things. Now, moving forward, next quarter of the season, you got Green Bay, you got the Jets, you got the Giants, and who else do they have? The Eagles. Two of those to me are very winnable games. Both games in New York are winnable games. Listen, I don't know for what reason, but it seems like to me Aaron Rodgers loves to play the Dallas quarterback. That son of a bitch sees Dallas and his eyes just light up. So, although Devontae Adams probably isn't going to play in that game when they lock up Sunday, listen, y'all can bet against Aaron Rodgers. I'm not doing that shit. You on your own with that. Fuck that. I'm not doing it. And the Eagles are just as hungry, just as talented as the Dallas Cowboys. See, here's the thing about the Eagles. And here's the thing about what Dallas is trying to do. Right now, Dallas is a pretty good football team. But like I said in the preview, fuck good. Fuck being pretty good. You want to be the elite of the elite. You want to be discussed. You want to be in the discussion of elite football teams. Here's your opportunity to do it. This next quarter of the season, to me, is going to largely define who Dallas truly is. Because if you really are who we think you are, or who you are portraying to be, you come out of this 7-1, no less than 6-2. You're going to have to beat one of those teams as it relates to Philadelphia and Green Bay. You have no excuse. If you really want to be an elite team, that's how you'd finish that for that second quarter. You have Philadelphia and you have Dallas. What separates them? The game is going to be at Dallas, so you have no excuse there. And I don't know if it's before a bye or after bye. I don't quite remember. But that's neither here nor there. Everything is set up for you to beat the Eagles and further separate yourself in that division. If you don't come out and beat that team, you're going to be in a dogfight the rest of the year. Not to say the thing's just going to be easy, but you want to make things as easy as possible as the season wanes on. What may derail all of this is the health of Tyron Smith. He's not going to play against Green Bay. That could come back to bite them in the ass. And I think he has a high ankle sprain. Them shits don't go away. I remember, I think he had a back issue a few years ago. And I remember him being out a few games. That shit wasn't pretty. I mean, shit. Everybody remember that goddamn game up in down in Atlanta when that goddamn boy, what was his name? Adrian Claiborne. He did not miss. He disrupted the entire game. He had a field day. I think he got a contract simply off that game just as it relates to production. He probably had 4 or 5 sacks in that game or some shit, maybe even 6. And thank God, thank the heavens above, Chaz Green is not with the Dallas Cowboys anymore. He's one of the worst football players I've ever seen. He's probably one of the worst football players to ever play for the Dallas Cowboys, not named Allen Ball. Shout out to Allen Ball. Again, Cam Fleming, he's a decent replacement. I think Cam Fleming would start at left tackle for a few teams in the league, so he's a decent replacement. But hell, again, it's next man up. I don't want to hit none of these motherfucking excuses, man. I don't want to hear that shit. You should have beat New Orleans. You didn't. And that's not no slouch. And that's not I'm not throwing shade at New Orleans. That is a really good football team. That defense is better than what I thought it was. But here we are. You left there 10 points and a well-whooped ass. Time to put up a shut-up. And just to go back to, just to backtrack to the contract situation with Dak, listen, somebody going to end up playing pussy and getting fucked. Excuse my French. Listen, this is what may happen. The Cowboys could get fucked in this situation, or Dak can, and here's how and here's why. So, the Cowboys are playing possum, right? They're waiting this out. They've already gotten fucked in doing so by looking at the contracts Kirk Cousins has gotten, a contract that Russell Wilson has gotten, Jared Goff, just to name a few, Carson Wentz. So The ante is being raised. The status quo of what a quarterback of Dak's caliber is being raised, right? So here's what could happen. You're going to look at what Patrick Mahomes is going to get, right? He's probably going to get a contract somewhere in excess of $200 million. His guaranteed money may exceed what Dak gets in relation to his entire contract, and I think Shannon Sharp touched on that last week. Well, let's just say Dak Prescott goes into the playoffs, loses his first game. I told y'all this in the preview show. The brain trust of the Dallas Cowboys is going to tell Dak Prescott, you've been our quarterback now for 4 years. I think 3-4 years, whatever the fuck it is. You have nothing to show for it. Nothing. Maybe one playoff win. That's it. Why would we give you $40 million a year? Or you could see Patrick Mahomes struggle. He may lose his first playoff game this season. Well, not playoff game as his career, but he may lose his first playoff game that they play this season. And you may see Dak go deep into the playoffs. Because the reason why I keep bringing up Patrick Mahomes is no matter what the fuck happens in the playoff game that he would presumably lose, he's going to get whatever he's going to get. Well, if Dak performs well and gets his team even deeper, how much goddamn money you think he's going to want? How much money do you think he's going to say, I've earned this? Look at what I've done. You can't replace me because you can't just go out and cherry pick quarterbacks. Dallas has had who the fuck knows that better than Dallas? Shit, after Troy Aikman left, man, it was a a laundry list of trash-ass, bullshit-ass quarterbacks from Troy Aikman and Tony Romo. So here we are. Somebody gonna get burnt in all of this. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I want the brother to get his money. Me personally, I don't think he's worth $40 million, but who gives a shit what I think? I want him to get paid. I want all these guys to get paid. Get as much money as you can. But hey man, again, that's my time. Listen, I really, really appreciate y'all hitting that play button. Hit the like button for me, man. Hit the subscribe button for me. I may even come back before the end of the second quarter of this season, man. But hey, until next time, y'all be good. You are officially off the hot seat.